The Galactic Council chamber was filled with light and sound. Dozens of alien species sat in wide rows, their glowing eyes and strange faces all focused on the center stage. They had gathered to hear about the newest world that wanted recognition, Earth. For humans, this day was supposed to be history. For the galaxy, it was only a joke. At the front of the chamber, Dr. Emily Carter, a biologist from the United States, stood beside Captain James Miller of the U.S. Navy. Both wore Earth's crest proudly on their uniforms. They had prepared charts, samples, and images to prove that Earth was real and worthy of entry into the Council's records. But before Emily even opened her mouth, laughter spread through the alien rows. "This cannot be true," said one alien scientist, his long neck shaking in amusement. "A planet filled with water, storms, predators, and oxygen-rich air? Impossible. No life could survive such chaos." Another alien, with a voice like grinding stone, added, "The humans are liars. Their world is a myth. A death world cannot give birth to intelligent beings." The words cut deep, but Emily stood straight. She took a breath and began her presentation. "Honored members," she said in calm, clear English translated into a dozen languages by her earpiece. "Earth is real. It is our home. Our ecosystem is complex, dangerous, and beautiful. We live with storms, with predators, with challenges. And still, we survived." The screen behind her lit up, showing images, vast oceans, tall forests, deserts glowing under the sun, polar ice stretching to the horizon. The chamber grew silent for only a moment, then filled with mocking laughter again. One alien elder shook his head. "Fiction. Every element you show defies known science. A world cannot balance such extremes. Your so-called Earth is a story, nothing more." Emily clenched her fists. She could feel James beside her, tense and ready to speak. He stepped forward, his voice firm and commanding. "We are not liars. Earth exists. Humanity exists. We are standing right here before you. Do you believe we are an illusion?" The chamber buzzed. Some aliens whispered uneasily. Others simply scoffed. A counselor with silver scales leaned forward, speaking with cold certainty. "Listen, humans. You claim oceans cover 70% of your planet. Impossible. Water in such amounts would drown the land. Your storms, your lightning, your predators, none of it can form a stable world. You invented this place to gain attention." Emily's heart raced. She wanted to scream, to defend the soil, the rivers, the skies she had known since childhood. But she forced herself to stay calm. "You say Earth cannot exist," she replied softly. "But I was born there. I grew up breathing its air, drinking its water, walking its forests. I am living proof." The aliens laughed louder, as if her words were nothing but entertainment. One alien, with insect-like limbs, slammed the table and shouted, "Enough. We do not waste time on fairy tales. The humans present lies to make themselves look strong. A true death world is uninhabitable. This Earth is only fantasy." Emily looked around the chamber. She saw only doubt and disbelief. It felt like standing in a storm with no shelter. Her voice shook, but she raised it again. "Then come and see for yourself," she said. "Visit Earth. Walk its land. Breathe its air. If you think it is impossible, then test it with your own eyes." The chamber fell silent for a heartbeat. Then more laughter. More insults. The idea of visiting Earth was madness to them. "Step on this so-called world," one counselor sneered. "We would not last a minute. You want us to die in storms and seas? No, human. Your invitation is another lie." Emily lowered her head. For the first time in her career, her science was being called a trick. She felt the weight of 1,000 eyes judging her, dismissing her, mocking her life's work. Anger and pain burned inside her chest. Captain Miller leaned close and whispered so only she could hear, "They'll never believe words. They'll only believe proof." Emily's eyes met his. She knew he was right. She also knew what she must do. She looked back at the council, her voice steady but sharp. "You think Earth is a lie? You think no world can exist like ours? Very well. If you don't believe us, then we will show you." Gasps and whispers filled the chamber. Some aliens looked alarmed. Others stared in silence, waiting to see what these humans would dare to do. Emily stood tall, her heart beating fast but her face calm. The council might deny her, they might laugh at her, but she knew one truth: Earth was real. And soon, the galaxy would see it with their own eyes. James placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice low but firm. "Then it begins. We'll bring them home." The chamber echoed with alien voices, mocking or fearful, but Emily no longer cared. Deep inside, she felt the spark of determination grow stronger. The galaxy had just challenged Earth's very existence. And Earth was ready to answer. The decision came faster than anyone expected. After the meeting, the Galactic Council agreed to send a small group of envoys to Earth. They said it was only to end the debate once and for all. Secretly, most of them wanted to expose humanity as liars. Dr. Emily Carter and Captain James Miller returned to Earth ahead of the envoys, preparing for their arrival. The mission was risky. If anything went wrong, if the aliens thought Earth was too dangerous, humanity would be banned from the Council forever. When the alien ship descended through the clouds, it was like a silver blade slicing the sky. The people of Earth gathered in silence, watching history unfold. The vessel landed on a wide plain near Washington, D.C., its hull gleaming under the sun. The envoys stepped out one by one. They were wrapped in heavy suits, masks covering their faces, protective shields humming around their bodies. To them, Earth's atmosphere was poison, its air thick with unseen threats. They believed they would die the moment their protection failed. James stood tall, his uniform pressed, the U.S. flag stitched proudly on his sleeve. Emily carried her research notes, her eyes bright with both fear and hope. She stepped forward to greet the visitors. "Welcome to Earth," she said softly. "This is our home." The lead envoy, a tall being with glassy skin and glowing veins, tilted his head. His voice was cold through the translator. "This cannot be real. Already, I feel the weight of this world pressing on me. Your sky burns my eyes. Your air, it scratches my lungs." Emily forced a smile. "What you feel is life. Oxygen. Nitrogen. The balance that lets us breathe." The envoy's eyes narrowed. "Balance. This is chaos." The group moved carefully, scanning the grass beneath their feet, the sky above, the wind brushing against them. Every sound made them flinch: the cry of a hawk, the rustle of leaves, even the buzzing of a bee. "Predators," one envoy cried when the hawk swooped overhead. "No," Emily said, her tone calm. "That is only a bird. It hunts smaller creatures, not you. It is part of our ecosystem." Still, the aliens huddled together, their protective suits glowing brighter as their fear grew. James motioned for them to follow. "You wanted proof," he said firmly. "Then see it with your own eyes." They led the envoys into a nearby forest. Sunlight spilled through tall green trees, painting the ground in shifting patterns. Birds sang. Squirrels darted between branches. The air smelled of earth and leaves. The aliens froze. One whispered, "This place is alive. Too alive. It should not be possible." Emily stopped beside a river and knelt down. She touched the water with her hand, then raised it to her lips. "Safe. Clean. This river gives life to thousands of creatures." The aliens recoiled in horror. "You touch it without protection? Madness. There must be parasites, poisons, hidden death. Emily only smiled. There is risk, yes. But there is also life. That is Earth's way. Danger and beauty together. One envoy tapped his recorder, his voice shaking. Storms that rip the sky, predators that hunt without mercy, oceans that drown the land, and yet, these humans walk freely. They thrive here. As if summoned by his words, thunder rumbled in the distance. Dark clouds rolled across the sky, covering the sun. The wind rose, carrying the smell of rain. The envoys panicked, stumbling backward. It begins. The world itself attacks us. Emily spread her arms as the first drops of rain fell. This is a storm. Water from the sky. It feeds our soil, fills our rivers, cools the air. Without storms, we would starve. The aliens watched in disbelief as the humans stood calmly in the rain. James smiled, droplets running down his face. This is Earth's way of reminding us we are small. But we endure. Always. The storm grew stronger, lightning flashing across the sky. The envoys screamed as thunder cracked above. Their suits flared with light as they activated full shields. To them, it was planetary violence. To the humans, it was only weather. One envoy's voice trembled. This world, it should not exist. It defies the laws we know. And yet, they live here. Emily stepped closer, her eyes steady. We do not only live here. We belong here. Earth is our teacher, our challenge, our home. We survived because we learned to respect it. The envoys huddled together, whispering in fear. Their leader stared at Emily for a long moment, then turned away. We will report what we saw, he said finally. But I warn you, human, if this world is real, it may be too dangerous to ever join the council. James crossed his arms, his voice like steel. Or maybe it's too strong to ignore. The storm thundered behind him, lightning splitting the sky in brilliant flashes. The envoys trembled, torn between fear and awe. Emily looked up at the storm and whispered, "Let them doubt. Soon, the galaxy will see the truth." The envoys returned to the Galactic Council with reports of storms, predators, and strange human behavior. But instead of believing, the council grew more divided. Some called Earth a miracle, others called it a fraud. Finally, the council demanded a live demonstration. If Earth was real, then humans must prove it before their eyes. Dr. Emily Carter accepted without hesitation. Captain James Miller tried to argue against it, but Emily shook her head. If we don't show them now, she whispered, they'll never believe us. So the council sent ships back to Earth, this time with cameras, recorders, and dozens of alien observers. They landed in a vast green jungle in South America. It was a place alive with noise, birds screeching, insects buzzing, water rushing in the distance. The aliens stepped out cautiously, shields glowing around them. The humid air clung to their suits like a living thing. Already, they whispered that no world could be so violent. Emily walked forward in plain clothes, no mask, no shield. Her boots crunched on the soil as she faced the observers. "You want proof," she said calmly. "Then watch." With that, she removed her boots and stepped barefoot onto the jungle floor. Gasps spread through the alien ranks. One shouted, "She is insane. The ground is poison." Emily smiled. "This ground raised me." She walked further, letting the mud cling to her feet. Then she reached for a tree, pulling down a ripe fruit. She peeled it with her hands and bit into the flesh, juice running down her chin. She chewed slowly, then swallowed. The aliens recoiled. "Contamination. Infection," one shrieked. But Emily only laughed softly. "This fruit feeds my people. It will not kill me. It gives me strength." James stood nearby, rifle slung across his back. He said nothing, but his sharp eyes scanned the jungle, ready for danger. Then, as if the world itself wanted to test her, the undergrowth shook. A deep growl rolled through the trees. An enormous bear stepped into view, its fur dark and wet, its teeth glistening as it opened its mouth. The aliens screamed, scrambling backward, shields flaring bright. To them, the beast was death itself. One shouted, "This is the end. The human will be torn apart." Emily froze. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, but she didn't move. The bear's eyes locked on her, and for a moment, silence fell over the jungle. Then James stepped forward, calm and steady. He unslung his rifle, but he did not fire. He raised his voice, low and firm. "Easy, easy now." The bear snorted, pawing the ground, uncertain of these strange humans. Emily slowly backed away, keeping her eyes on the animal but showing no fear. James stayed between her and the beast, his finger ready on the trigger but not pulling it. The aliens watched in horror, waiting for blood. Instead, they saw control. They saw calm. They saw humans standing face to face with a predator that should have ended them. Finally, the bear turned with a grunt and lumbered back into the trees, disappearing into the shadows. Emily let out a slow breath. James lowered his rifle but never smiled. He only said, "That's life on Earth. We don't run from it. We face it." The aliens were silent, their glowing eyes wide with shock. One whispered, "If they can master this world, what else can they master?" Emily stood tall again, brushing dirt from her hands. Her voice was steady. "We are not conquerors of nature. We are students of it. Earth taught us to adapt. To survive storms, predators, hunger, and fear. That is why we stand here today." The council observers argued among themselves. Some said it was reckless. Others admitted it was strength. But none could deny what they had seen. The leader of the envoys finally spoke. His voice was low, almost shaken. "This changes everything. No species should live like this. And yet you thrive. Perhaps your world is not impossible. Perhaps it is, terrifying." James's jaw tightened. "Terrifying, maybe. But it's ours. And it made us what we are." Lightning flashed in the distance, thunder rolling over the jungle. The aliens flinched at the sound, but the humans only stood taller. Emily looked up at the storm and whispered so all could hear, "This is Earth. This is home. If you think it's too dangerous, then maybe you finally understand us." The cameras recorded everything. The galaxy would soon see the truth. Humans did not just survive their world. They lived with it, faced it, and refused to break. And that truth was far more frightening than any myth. The jungle tests spread across the galaxy in hours. Millions of beings watched the recordings of Dr. Emily Carter walking barefoot on Earth's soil, eating fruit from its trees, and standing calm before a raging bear. They saw Captain James Miller face danger with steady courage, weapon in hand but under control. For the first time, many aliens stopped laughing. But fear quickly replaced doubt. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, the air was thick with tension. Delegates whispered to one another, their voices sharp with worry. Holograms of Earth storms, predators, and oceans flickered above the hall, casting shifting light across the walls. Counselor Vaylor, the silver-scaled elder, slammed his claw against the table. "This cannot be allowed. A species that thrives on a death world should never sit among us. They are too dangerous. They will spread their chaos across the stars." Another counselor, tall and robed in pale silk, shook her head. "Or perhaps they are proof of resilience. No other race has survived such extremes. Maybe they bring strength we do not understand." The chamber erupted into argument. Some called Earth a wonder. Others shouted it was a threat. Emily and James stood on the council floor, listening as their future was decided above their heads. Emily clenched her fists, her heart heavy. They had given everything to show the truth, yet now that truth was being twisted into fear. One delegate hissed, "Think. If they mastered storms, predators, and endless dangers, what will they do with advanced weapons? With fleets? With armies? Humanity is not a partner. Humanity is a threat." James finally stepped forward, his voice cutting through the noise. "We are not asking for your fear. We are asking for respect. We survived not because we destroyed our world but because we learned to live with it. That is our strength, not our danger." The chamber quieted for a moment, but then Counselor Valor rose again, his eyes glowing with anger. "Do not be fooled. A predator in a cage may appear calm, but release it and it will kill without mercy. Humanity's survival proves only one thing: they are predators too dangerous to be trusted." A ripple of agreement spread through the chamber. Emily felt her chest tighten. She could not stay silent any longer. She stepped forward, her voice breaking at first but growing stronger with every word. "You see storms, predators, and danger. You see fear. But you don't see what Earth truly is. You don't see the flowers that bloom after rain, the whales that sing across oceans, the bees that give life to forests. You don't see how every danger is balanced by beauty. That balance is what shaped us." She raised her hand, pointing at the hologram of Earth's clouds and seas. "We are not conquerors of our world. We are its children. We learned to stand against its fury, yes, but we also learned to treasure its gifts. That is why we endured." Her words echoed in the silence. Some counselors bowed their heads, moved. Others narrowed their eyes, unmoved. James leaned close and whispered, "You've swayed some. But not all. Too many fear us." Emily nodded, but before she could reply, a message flashed across James's wrist communicator. It was coded and urgent. He glanced at it, and his jaw tightened. The message read, "Certain factions will move against Earth tonight. Stop them, or lose everything." James quickly locked the screen and slipped the device away. He did not want Emily to panic, but the weight of the warning burned in his mind. Some of the council was not just debating, they were planning. Meanwhile, Counselor Valor rose again, his voice dark and commanding. "I call for a vote. Earth must be denied recognition. Worse, it must be quarantined. A species born of chaos cannot be trusted to walk among the stars." The chamber shook with mixed cries, some in agreement, some in outrage. Emily stepped closer to James. Her voice was low, but fierce. "They're not just afraid. They want to erase us." James nodded grimly. "And some of them won't wait for a vote. They'll strike first." Emily's eyes widened. "Then what do we do?" James's face hardened as he looked around the chamber, at the counselors plotting in shadows, at the whispers turning darker by the minute. "We prepare," he said quietly. "Because Earth has been tested before and we're still here. If they want to move against us, they'll learn why." The chamber above them erupted in noise again, voices clashing in a storm of fear and anger. The debate was no longer about recognition. It was about survival. For the first time, Emily realized the council wasn't just doubting Earth. They were beginning to fear what would happen if Earth was allowed to rise. And fear, she knew, was the most dangerous weapon of all. The vote began. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council glowed with 1,000 lights as delegates raised their hands, voices, or alien signals. On the surface, it looked like order. But underneath, tension boiled like a storm. Dr. Emily Carter and Captain James Miller stood together on the central platform, waiting for their world's fate. Each second felt like a blade pressing deeper. Counselor Valor's voice thundered through the hall. "You have seen the proof. Earth is a death world. Its storms break mountains. Its predators strike without mercy. Its oceans drown everything. And yet these humans survive. They are too dangerous to be trusted. Deny them entry. Seal their world before it spreads its chaos across the stars. The chamber roared with voices, some agreeing, some protesting. For a moment, it seemed the majority would side with fear. Emily's heart pounded. If Earth was denied, it would not just be humiliation. It would mean isolation. No trade. No protection. And maybe even attack from those who feared them most. James's communicator buzzed again. The secret message flashed once more: they move tonight. Prepare. He leaned close and whispered, we have one chance left. Show them the truth, not just the danger. Show them why Earth lives. Emily closed her eyes, then stepped forward. Her voice, steady and clear, carried across the chamber. You look at Earth and see chaos. But you are blind to its harmony. You see storms. I see rain that feeds crops. You see predators. I see balance that keeps life strong. You see oceans. I see a cradle that gave birth to us all. The chamber quieted, though some still sneered. Emily raised her hand. If you will not believe words, then believe your eyes. With a signal to James, the humans activated a massive projection. The chamber walls filled with images, live streams from Earth. Whales sang in the deep ocean, their voices echoing across the hall. Bees buzzed from flower to flower, carrying pollen that gave forests life. Lightning flashed across a wide plain, followed by the quiet miracle of green shoots breaking through wet soil. Gasps spread among the delegates. For the first time, they were not watching storms and danger. They were watching life. A child's laughter echoed through the feet as a boy ran through rain, splashing in puddles, his face bright with joy. Behind him, a family stood together, unafraid of the storm. Emily's voice grew stronger. We are not children of destruction. We are children of survival. Earth shaped us, tested us, and yes, sometimes punished us. But it also gave us beauty, wonder, and love. That is why we are strong. Not because we conquered our world, but because we learned to live with it. The hall was silent now. Even Valor's silver scales seemed to dim as the projection continued. Great herds thundered across grasslands. Eagles soared through clouds. Coral reefs glowed with endless color. Finally, the feed showed Earth from space, a blue and green jewel turning slowly against the blackness. Small, fragile, but alive. Whispers spread across the chamber. Beautiful, impossible, no, not impossible. Real. Counselor Valor tried one last time, his voice breaking. Do not be deceived. This is still a death world. Their survival proves their danger. But another counselor rose, voice firm. No. Their survival proves their worth. If they can endure such a world, then perhaps we have something to learn from them. The chamber erupted again, but this time the tide had shifted. Delegates shouted not in fear, but in awe. The vote was called once more. Hands, claws, wings, and lights rose this time in favor. One by one, the majority turned toward recognition. The final tally appeared in the air: Earth accepted. Emily felt her knees weaken, tears burning her eyes. James placed a steady hand on her shoulder, his expression hard but proud. The council leader spoke at last. Earth is recognized as a true world of the galaxy. Humanity, born of storms and seas, will stand among us. The chamber shook with voices, some cheering, some still whispering in fear. But the decision was made. Earth's truth could no longer be denied. Outside, news spread like wildfire. Across the stars, billions watched the recordings of Earth's beauty and danger. For the first time, the galaxy did not laugh. It listened. It wondered. And it feared but also respected. As the chamber emptied, Emily looked up at the stars projected on the ceiling. Her voice was quiet but strong. They claimed Earth couldn't exist. But now the galaxy knows it does. James stood beside her, his gaze unflinching. And they'll never forget it. Together, they walked out of the chamber, carrying with them the weight of a world. The world that had survived the impossible. The world that had just proved them all wrong.